Welcome to today's Headline Tomorrow. Today we are going to be looking at what I term understanding your calling. We want to look at who you've been called to be as a woman and who you've been called to be as a man in order to serve God in the way that He desires, and most importantly, lay hold of all that He has for you while fulfilling your assignment, what He expects of you at every season and phase of your life, especially in the context of marriage. You are a woman, and as a woman, you are a man with a womb. That is what distincts you primarily. The existence of your womb and all the other functionalities needed for that womb to do what it's been placed in your body to do. But that's not all that differentiates you. The presence of the womb and what it does also requires you to have a level of perseverance, a level of long suffering. So you are not just a woman with a womb, you are a woman with long suffering and perseverance. My question is, why was the womb not given to the man? Why? He cannot endure the discomfort of carrying another human or the pain of delivery. We've seen a lot of trend now where people wear a particular machine that gives men a fear of menstrual cramps or labor pain, and I am yet to see one in which a man endured the pain and was just smiling and going through the day. But women are carrying this pain in their bodies, and you running the family, you're showing up at work, you're running a business, you're going to preach in that congregation, even though your stomach is literally killing you. Why? A woman endures. A woman endures. If you take childbirth, for example, most women will tell you that they prefer to give birth through the vagina than through a cesarean section. Why would you prefer the painful process of giving birth the natural way compared to being assisted medically? It's because we are wired for perseverance. So it's not necessarily because you think one is better than the other. Something in women is wired for perseverance. You have been given the capacity to persevere, not just in day-to-day life, not just in childbirth, but even in the place of prayer. The Bible says, and women received their dead back to life. We know through scriptures that men also got their dead raised, like the man who Jesus was going to his house to raise his daughter, even though she was already dead. And that was when he came across the woman with the issue of blood and all that. But why did the Bible include a verse that says, and men received their dead to life? Or why wasn't it written as, and people received their dead to life? But it says, and women received their dead to life. When something happens once, it's interesting and inspiring. But when it happens repeatedly, it shows you something. It's communicating something to you. So you go to the Old Testament and you see the example of the woman who received a child through a prophetic gift, a prophetic confession, and after some years the child dies and she goes to the prophet and says, all is well, but the boy you gave me is not waking up, and she received a son to life. Then you come to the New Testament and you see Dorcas there and the women weeping and saying, this woman cannot die, she's been a source of blessing to us, something has to give, and they received Dorcas back to life. Lazarus was dead, but his sisters Mary and Martha still sent for Jesus because they believed that there is something, that even if that situation looks dead, it's not over. So, you have an uncommon grace to receive what is dead to life. That situation that looks dead can come back to life. Secondly, you have an uncommon strength and discernment to identify abnormality and to challenge it rather than accepting the status quo. So it's not only dead situations that you call back to life, but abnormal situations when things are not as they should be. A woman challenges it. I will take an example of the woman whose husband was a prophet. Her husband was a prophet, yet they were living in poverty. They were living in debt. And then he died while they were in debt. And the woman felt like, oh my, we are in debt, and the creditors are coming to take my sons. Then she goes up to the prophet, and the prophet says, what do you have? She said, we have nothing save a jar of oil. He says, go, do this and that, and they were out of debt. She is not a prophet. The husband was a prophet. The person she went to after her husband died was also a prophet. Why didn't her husband go to that prophet? Or why didn't her husband, being a prophet, go to God concerning their financial situation? Why was the situation as it was until his death before it changed when the woman sought for help? The woman could have said, oh, even my husband couldn't solve this problem. So, well, creditors, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. You can have my children, and I'll just take it as my life is meant to be miserable. Rather, she says, no, this is not the norm. This is not the way it should be. This situation can turn around. This situation can change. And she sought a solution. A woman recognizes abnormality and challenges it. When you are working as a man and your business is not growing, and you feel, oh, maybe I just need to do this, a woman can recognize what is wrong. I certainly believe that that woman may have advised her husband several times concerning what to do about her financial situation, but he didn't listen. Many men disregard their women. Meanwhile, the intuition that God gave to women is a gift He placed in every woman to be a blessing to a man. When He called you to be a helpmate, it wasn't something that you're supposed to struggle with. He put certain things in you to equip you to be able to do that. And one of those things is the ability to discern. We see another example, Job's wife. Job's wife saw that this situation my husband is not normal. Yes, our response was not palatable. She said, curse God and die. But no, Job shouldn't have cursed God. And thank God he didn't. But what she's saying is, this is not normal. Because Job was saying, God gives, God takes, we can't blame him. But she's saying, if this is God, then you have no business with him. In other words, open your eyes. This is not normal. This is not normal. She knew something was off. She may not know what it was, but she knew something was off. That the God that has been blessing you shouldn't be inflicting this kind of pain on you. It is not normal. She was right, because it's not God that was inflicting that pain on him. It was Satan. But she was wrong in the solution that she preferred. The women Dorcas helped, they knew something, this cannot work. Dorcas cannot die. It's an abnormal situation that the person that God has been using to sustain we widows should be dead. Our death means that we, the rest of us, would likely just pass one after the other from lack. And they say, no, we got to find a solution. She must leave because we must leave. One of the dear women in this generation spoke about a time when her husband was maybe sick or something, and some of the widows that she used to bless came to her and said, you can't join us because you have been blessing us. In other words, you can't lose your husband because you've been blessing those that lost theirs. Women identify abnormality. What are you doing with the grace that God has given you? What are you doing with this special discernment ability that God has given you? What are you doing with this gift of perseverance that God has given you? You are not a man, you are a woman. You are not a man. Don't lie to yourself, and don't let anybody lie to you. You are a woman. So arise and challenge that negative situation. Arise and challenge that abnormality. Arise and challenge that failed business. Arise and challenge that failed grade. Arise and challenge the failed marriage. Arise and challenge that situation of a sick child. Arise and challenge it. Don't accept abnormality. Now to the men. I want to start by talking about 3 outstanding men in the scriptures that show us what the role of a man is. We're talking of understanding your calling. We have Abraham. We have Manoah, the father of Samson, and then we have Zechariah. One thing is peculiar about these 3 men. They had their children in old age. Their wives experienced a long season of barrenness. But they had something in common. Their miracle babies arrived. But that's not the only thing they had in common. These men sought God. They sought God, they served God. Abraham served God even when there was no child in the picture. Abraham sought the face of God. He would get to a place and raise an altar to God. He was training the people. His head servants prayed to God. In other words, he trained everybody that lived with him to seek God. If you have people living with you and you cannot teach them to seek God, they have no business being in your house because you are not taking your place of authority and priesthood over them. If they are not ready to seek your God, in the Bible always talk about the Israelites and the foreigners among them. When there are foreigners among you and they submit to the Lord your God that you serve, you will be blessed. But if the foreigners do not submit, they will be like the children of Korah that would turn even your own heart away from God to an idol. So Abraham sought God. Manoah sought God. When the angel appeared to his wife to tell her that she would have a son, and she conveyed the message to the husband, Manoah didn't say, oh, glory, hallelujah, God has heard our prayer, that's all. No, he said, let the angel come back again and tell us what to do about this child. In other words, I want to have that encounter too. And I want to receive the instructions too as a father, so that I can ensure that I train this child to keep to the instructions. He took charge spiritually. He did not leave the spiritual responsibility of the home or of their unborn child to the wife. And then we have Zechariah, the husband of Elizabeth and father of John the Baptist. Zechariah was serving the Lord. He was a priest. Child or no child, he was consistently serving God and offering prayers for the people whenever it was his turn to do so, because serving God was his call, he understood that this is a deep thing. This is deeper than anything temporal. And it was in the place of service that he got his divine visitation. But he did not stop serving God after the angel struck him dumb for not believing. He completed that act of service. Hallelujah. He completed it, came out. You, as a man, must stay in the place of service, in the place of worship, in the place of communion with God. That is your calling. You are a priest over your own home. You know, as a man, your key assignment is to walk with God. You are called to serve him and to walk with him. And even when he visits you and you receive that long-standing miracle, you have to continue to serve him. Abraham continued to serve God even after Isaac was born. No wonder when he said to his son, let's go and offer a sacrifice to God, the boy knew when they got to a particular point that something is missing. Where is the lamb for the sacrifice? Because that was not the first time he was following his father to go and offer sacrifice to God. So he knew what was normal. This is what we take along. This is how we do it. He knew. And when he woke up that morning and said, boy, we are going to offer a sacrifice, his wife did not say, what happened? Because they knew this man goes to serve God. He does it consistently. You must keep doing it. As you do so, you will receive exceedingly more. A breakthrough that is exceedingly more. And lastly, I want to leave you with this. Who are you praying with? Who are you praying with? As you go through your journey, you need people. As you go through your journey, you will face storms. As you try to serve God and fulfill his purpose, as you try to fulfill your call as a woman or as a man, you would face storms. And sometimes you will get weak. But who are you praying with? I was going through a storm at a certain season in my life. And as I prayed about it, there were times I got tired and I wanted to stop. God brought people around me to encourage me and to continue to pray with me consistently. Who are you praying with? Because the enemy is going to try to stop you from praying, from receiving the grace that you need to function in the place of your calling. So you must have people who are like wood to your fire that help to keep the flame alive.